Right. I have to go to question 2 first, activity 2 first. Hope it's recording. Activity 2 tells you that you have to, I'm just looking for activity 2. Yes. You can switch it off anytime. Right. I ask you and I say, you have, remember, now we actually know what's wrong with this. It's not the overhead projector, it's not the cables, it's the laptop that loses so the laptop is busy packing up. That is where the problem lies. At long last, we actually know what's going on. Right. Here they tell us you have to complete the note. So let's have a look. Jy moet die nota voltooi het. Dis die inligting wat gegee is. Remember last year's closing balance is this year's opening balance. Ek het nou dag ook gesê. Last jaar se eindsaldo is hierdie jaar se beginsaldo. Right. Then the information. Remember you have to, when they give you information of different vehicles, different pieces of equipment, hulle doen dit want iewers gaan daar een wees wat nou aan die einde van sy nuttige lewensduur is. Remember, if they give you different vehicles and different equipment, it's because one of them are reaching the end of its useful life. What is the end of its useful life? When you can no longer write off depreciation, wanneer jy nie meer kan waardevermindering afskryf het. So if you get the information like that, it's not because they want to confuse you. They are trying to indicate that somewhere here is one that you will see that you cannot write off the full amount for depreciation, because if you do write off the full amount, you sit with a negative carrying value. Dit gaan definitief in jou vraestel wees. Nou Junie maand, September, die einde van die jaar. There was a vehicle with a cost price of that amount. That was the accumulated depreciation. So first thing that I do, I calculate what is the carrying value. Ek maak vir myself 'n kolommetjie en ek sê wat is die drawaarde. So die drawaarde van daai eerste voertuig is R35,000. So ek weet nou al, ek kan nie meer 20% per year will give me R70,000 on the cost price of that vehicle. I know I cannot write off 70,000 because the carrying value is only 35,000. So if I write off 70,000, I'm going to sit with a negative value as a book value for this vehicle. Is julle by daarmee? So wat kan ek afskryf? Net 34,999. It's going to be in each of your exam papers, it's going to be this. This is paper 1, this vraestel 1. Please be careful. Do not let this trip you up. Dan die tweede voertuig is gekoop R400,000, 20% per jaar, gee vir my R80,000. And then this one was bought on 30 November 2018. Our year ends, I think 28 February, am I right? Is it February? Is it February of March? I think March, einde van March, end of March. So from 30 November to the end of March, I do not count November, December, January, February, March, 4 maande, van die 12 teen 20% gee vir my 41,800. So what's the total depreciation on vehicles? The 34,999 on vehicle 1, the 80,000 of vehicle 2, die 41,800 van voertuig 3, gee vir my 156,799. You need to calculate that amount because they've asked you to complete the note, and in the note was the depreciation on vehicles. As julle by? In die nota het gestaan, wat het jy bygekoop? What did you buy? Daar was 'n nuwe voertuig gekoop. The new vehicle, the information was supplied. Is julle by? Do all of you understand that? Are we fine? Okay. So kom ons gaan ons maak dus om 'n voertuie klaar. Let's complete vehicles. So this was supplied, that I had to calculate. Dit was geen vervreemding nie. There was no disposal. So my only problem was to get that amount still. What must I do to get that? Dis hoekom dit in geel is. I had to add the 475 plus the 156,799. Daai twee gaan ek sommer nou ook, ek maak hom nog nou geel. Those amounts, I had to add to get to my total of 631,799. Is julle by daarmee? Do all of you understand that? The problem with the vehicles was they are testing two things there. First of all, they tested, did you see that one vehicle is nearing the end of its useful life? So you cannot write off all the depreciation. That is a very important accounting principle. Hulle gaan vir jou bly vra. The second thing was that you had to remember that the new vehicle that was bought this year cannot get depreciation for the whole year because you didn't have this for the whole year. Jy het hom gekoop en dit maak dit vir jou moeilik, want hulle sê vir jy koop dit op. They could have said 1st of December as well. Maar hulle sê vir jou 30 November, want hulle wil jou probeer, they want to trick you into thinking, oh, November, I must write off depreciation for November. Jy kan nie vir waarheidsmeting afskryf vir November nie, want 30 November is die einde van die maand. So if they wrote 1st of December, it would not have been a problem. But that is the difference between straightforward and just a little bit more complicated. Want as jy skryf 1 Desember, gaan jy nie eers daaraan dink om November te gebruik nie. So do you remember everything in the exam paper? In an accounting exam paper, because that's the only thing that I can talk about, is it's there for a reason. It's there to test a certain principle. Het jy, besef jy, 30 November mag jy nie vir November waarheidsmeting afskryf nie. Is jy daarby? Are you fine with the vehicles one? Now let's go to equipment. What happened to equipment? By toerusting sê hulle vir jou die volgende. Equipment is vir kontant verkoop, was sold for cash on the 31st of August. Only the following entries in respect of this sale were processed. Daar was 'n kosprys, daar was 'n opgehoopte waardevermindering tot op die dag van verkope. So what is the carrying value? Because in this note, you need disposal at carrying value. Jy het nodig vervreemding teen draarwaarde. What is carrying value? Cost price minus all the accumulated depreciation. So kyk wat hulle vir jou gegee het. They gave you the cost price. Die kostprys van dit wat jy verkoop het was 28,000. They tell you the accumulated depreciation on the day of the disposal was 21,500. So what's the carrying value? 6,500. Jy hoef eers iets uit te gaan werk het, want alles is klaar vir jou uitgewerk. Why did they supply this little bit? Because you will need that amount for when you calculate the depreciation on the equipment, thank you, for this year. That's why they gave you that, not to use that to calculate the carrying value of the disposal, because they already told you that 1,750 is included in the depreciation because that was given up on the day of the disposal. Is julle by daarmee? So jy moenie dit ekstra gaan bysit hier, dis klaar ingereken. Are we okay with that? Right. As julle vir jou waardevermindering op die oorblywende toerusting, is at 92,500 after taking all of the above into account. So wat is die totale waardevermindering dan vir die jaar? The 92,500 plus the 1,750. Hulle gee vir jou die waardevermindering. This time they gave you the depreciation. So in my note, when I go to my note, remember, that was supplied. Hulle het vir jou klaar gegee. They gave you that already. They gave you the information to calculate that. Al wat jy moes die groot probleem in hierdie vraagie was, you had to calculate the cost price of the remaining vehicle, equipment, en die opgehoopte waardevermindering op die oorblywende toerusting. Nou, hoe het ek dit gedoen? And that could have been a difficult calculation. Right. Hoe bereken die mens kostprys? How do you calculate the cost price? That's the easy one. This was the cost price at the start of the year supplied. Dis die kostprys van die toerusting wat jy verkoop het. That's the cost price of the equipment you sold. So what is the remaining cost price? The 370,000. Is julle by daarmee? Are we fine? Then the accumulated depreciation, I drew an account. Ek hou van teerrekeninge. The balance in the accumulated depreciation at the start of the year is supplied. Dit was gegee. What can you add? Only the depreciation for this year. Dit is gegee. What can you minus? The depreciation on the asset you sold. Die waardevermindering op die bate wat jy verkoop het. That was supplied. So you were looking for balance at the end. So everything was supplied. But if you do not know the format of the cumulative depreciation account, you are never going to be able to do this. Jy moet die formaat van die opgehoopte waardevermindering rekening ken. Al hoe hy kan lyk, hy moet 'n saldo aan die begin hê. It must have a balance at the start. Accumulated depreciation, remember in grade 10, I told you it's a negative asset because it decreases the value of a specific other asset. Hy's 'n negatiewe bate want hy maak mos die waarde van 'n spesifieke ander bate minder. So credit balance. What do you add? Depreciation for this year. Waardevermindering vir die jaar tel jy by. Wat kan jy aftrek? Waardevermindering van die ding wat jy verkoop het, the depreciation on whatever it is you sold. Then you sit with depreciation at the end of the current year. If you do not know the format, you won't be able to do this. Hierdie vraag het minpunte getel, want eintlik is dit basiese graad 10 werk, grade 11 want graad 10 toe moes jy bate verkoop het. This would be a nice question for grade 11 in the June exam, want hulle doen mos bate verkoop in die eerste kwartaal van graad 11. Right. Is there anyone who has a problem with this? Anyone? Okay. Vraag 2 was oor vaste bates weer. Hulle sê vir jou, the following information relates to fixed or tangible assets of just time footwear. Dan ek gaan nou maar net kyk, ek het dit al onderop want dit maak vir my makliker daar. There's 3 points of good internal control of movable fixed assets. Ek gou daarna, ek het dit nou alles geskryf wat ek aan kan dink. The eerste een, fixed assets, the first thing that comes into my mind is there must be an updated fixed asset register. Die skool het 'n vaste bate register where all the laptops are. This is not in the fixed asset register because this is a lease. This one is on lease. It's never the schools. As I breek, dan bring hulle vir my en bring hulle 'n ander een. This is a lease. It's never the property of the school. Okay. Die voertuie, die trekkertjie, die kombi, dis op die vaste bate register. It must be updated. Hoe moet jy dit op datum hou? Jy moet die waardevermindering inskryf elke jaar, the depreciation every year. You need to calculate the carrying value, the normal things. You must know when did you buy it, where did you buy it, al daai inligting. So you must have a updated fixed asset register. Dis belang, dis sal ek eerste ding wat ek dan sal sê. The second thing, it's no use having a register, but I don't physically go and check and see, is there a laptop still in room 43? Is there a overhead projector in room 41? So then the next thing, and normally they ask at the most 3. So if I can remember, I must have an updated fixed asset register. Secondly, I must do physical inspection, check what is in the register, is it there where it's supposed to be? As ek dit kan dan doen. En die derde wat ek probeer altyd die goed onthou wat vir my maklik is because I'm lazy. I don't like to study long lists of stuff. So I try to reason this out. Fixed asset register I must check, is it physically there? Thirdly is, I must make sure that I maintain the fixed assets. So ek moet seker maak dat dit gereeld gediens word, dat dit in stand gehou word. And for that you don't need to study. This is basic things that you must know in your life as well. Want jy gaan heel moontlik binne die volgende paar jaar gaan jy vir jou kar koop. You will see that car must be maintained. It must go for services. Jy moet seker maak die olie is okay. Is the tire pressure okay? Jy gaan kyk of jou kar elke oggend buitekant nie staan. Iemand hom nie gesteel het vannag nie. Are you fine with that? So think, this doesn't have to be difficult. Think just in real life. It's your fixed assets. How are you going to be sure that you keep those fixed assets? Dat dit nie verdwyn nie. You're going to make a list of that. That's your fixed asset register. You're going to physically check. This is my list. Can I please see? I see, Mrs. Trichardt, you have this laptop. Can I see the laptop, please? Do you understand? And then last thing is, this laptop must be serviced. A laptop word eintlik gedien, maar ek maak nou met 'n voorbeeld. Mevrou Trichardt, het jy hom nou diens? This is the vehicle, you are driving this vehicle of the business. Is this, are you maintaining this? Maak jy seker jy ry nie op die grondpad en gooi wheelies and whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't need to know the difficult stuff. There's enough easy, logical things for you to know without breaking your head. Jy hoef nie eers jou dood te leer hier, Annie. Is there anyone who has a problem with that? Right. Vraagie nommer 2 sê, Glander Construction provided an invoice on the 31st of August nadat hulle 'n nuwe stoorkamer gebou het. The full invoice amount was paid and debited to land and building, so is betaal en grond en geboue is gedebiteer. The auditor, however, found that the repairs to the old storeroom were included in the invoice. That has not been corrected. Remember, if you repair an old storeroom, it's not a new building. Dis mos nie nuut nie, dis net 'n gewone herstelwerk. Calculate the cost of the land and buildings. Nou kyk wat het ek gemaak. They gave me land and buildings at the end of last year. They gave me land and buildings at the end of this year. Die verskil is mos nou die nuwe gebou. Because they said the new thing was built, it was already recorded in land and buildings. So die verskil is nie 2, die 750,000 includes the repairs. What is not supposed to be repairs included, moenie eintlik by wees nie. So I take the 750 minus the 60,000 that they told me was the repairs. So wat is die prys van die nuwe stoorkamer? 690,000. This is 3 marks, people. Always compare with the rent income adjustment, that's 4 marks at the most. 3 punte vir daai sommetjie. You should be able to get the 3 marks there. Is daar iemand wat nie verstaan nie? Anyone? Right. Next question. Ek het op 'n bladsy gesit want jy moet nou die waardevermindering vir die jaar op die voertuie gaan bereken. Hulle sê hierso vir ons, the information says it's 25% on, ek gou weer kan onthou, ek het nou weer ek het dit wag, ek het dit hier vir my geprint ook dat ek dit kan onthou, ek is hier en weer te gaan nie. It's 25, stel vir daai op asseblief. On vehicles, the depreciation is 25% per year on cost price. So kyk nou mooi. That was vehicles last year. 25% on my vehicles at the end of this year is 120,000. Die draagwaarde daarvan is hoeveel? Net R30,000. Hoe weet ek dit? Because vehicle last year was cost price minus accumulated depreciation gives me a carrying value of 30,000. Can I write off the 100 and whatever 70,000? Ek kan nie. Ek moet R1 waarde hê. So I can only write 29.99. Can you see third question, third paper that a question was taken from? Third time that they're asking this. Hulle bly dit vra. They're going to ask, I am asking you this as well. Now and September, and the examiner, the final paper will also have this in, because the CAPS document requires us to test that you can do your, it says they test that learners know that you must have a carrying value of R1. That's the only way we can test this. Daar's nie 'n ander manier vir my om dit te toetsie. Ek moet vir jou laat bereken en dan moet ek kan sien, jy het gesien ek mag nie so baie afskryf hê. Are we fine with this? Okay. Nou gaan ons na die volgende. You can only write off the 20, that's 2 marks. Dis eintlik baie min puntjies vir daai sommetjie wat jy moes doen. Is 'n maklike sommetjie. 'n Fotostaatmasjien is ingeruil op 30 November vir R88,000. Jy het 'n beter model gekoop. Calculate the loss on the photocopy machine traded in on 30 November. Daar is die inligting van die fotostaatmasjien. The cost price was R320,000. The first depreciation was on 28 February 2020. That was R96,000. So step 1, I had to calculate the additional depreciation first. From 1 March to 30 November. Hoe het ek dit gedoen? Dit doen ons al in graad 10 al. That was the cost price. That was carrying value. Daar's die draagwaarde, already told me, at 30%. For 9 of the 12 months gives me 50,400. As die waardevermindering vir hierdie jaar 50.400 is, what will the new carrying value be? The previous carrying value minus the 50.400 gives me 173,600. Wat is die verlies wat ons gemaak het? The carrying value is 173. We sold it, we traded in for 88,000, so the loss is 85,600. Do you think it was wise of this business to trade it in now already, less than 2 years after you bought it? Was dit wys geweest? Nee. Hulle moes dit nog 'n bietjie gehou het, nee. They should have kept this a little bit longer. Stem jy nie saam nie? Because remember, in real life, those of you going to buy cars, most of you are going to buy a car and you're going to pay it off. You cannot, if you buy a car these days, they give you up to 84 months. That is 7 years to pay a car. You cannot trade in that car and think that you will have enough money available to buy a new one unless you've already paid for 5.5 to 6 years. Dis regtig hoe dit werk. So think carefully. If they give you, the longer the period is that you pay something when you buy something on credit, the more the interest is. I know remember, a longer period gives you a smaller installment per month. But longer period, small installment means in the end paying so much more. My dogter het dit nou oorgekom. Sy het vir haar kar gekoop want sy weet mos alles beter as ek. Sy het and don't buy on residual value. Because residual value means she bought a car, she's going to pay 72 months. She must now pay 5,000 something rand for 72 months. After the 72 months, the residual value is 85,000. The car only was 350,000. So finance was on the 350 minus the 80, I think it's 83, minus the 83. That's the finance part. After the period is over, she now owes 83,000, I think it's 83,000, that she must pay in one go, or she must get extended finance again. So jy kan so 'n kar kan jy 12 jaar vat om te betaal. So be very careful. Your first car, don't buy something that you can't, I'm not preaching to you, but don't buy something that you can't afford. Koop eerder 'n klein karretjie. Jy hoef nie die wêreld se grootste kar te koop as jy begin werk nie. Right, are we fine with this one? Are we okay? Right? Then the second part is the cost price of the new model that was delivered on 1st of December was 410,000 rand. Bereken nou die waardevermindering op die nuwe fotostaatmasjien en op die oorblywende ou toerusting. That was easy. The depreciation on the new photocopy machine is easy. 410,000 at 30% for 3 of the 12 months. 30,750. Is julle alright daarmee? Hoe julle dit doen? Dan die oorblywende toerusting. What is the cost price of the equipment that remains? We had equipment of 2.1 million at the start of this year. Waarvan ons moes een fotostaatmasjien gaan inruil, remember? With the photocopy machine that we sold or traded in. That gives me the cost price of the remaining old equipment. Do you understand that? Wat is die opgehoopte waardevermindering op die oorblywende toerusting? That was the depreciation, including the depreciation on the one that we sold. That was what we sold. That gives the remaining depreciation. And then what is the depreciation on the old equipment? It's the amount minus the depreciation times 30%, 130,800. Is julle all right hiermee? It's the same calculations over and over. Are we okay? Dan sê hulle vir jou by volgende vraagie. The CEO feels that the CEO feels that land or buildings are worth at least 10 million rand. En hy wil die bedrag in die staat van finansiële posisie daar ooreenkomstig aanpas. Explain why the auditor does not agree. Jy weet al klaar, wat is altyd by grond en geboue? Historiese koste. So according to the historical cost principle, land and buildings must be shown at cost price in the financial statements. Dit was die eerste een wat jy moet weet. Jy weet dit mos outomaties. The same applies to fancy cars. Even if you buy a vehicle today for 10, let's make it a Porsche for 10 million, and 10 years from now it's worth 20 million, the cost price is going to stay 10 million. It gaan nie verander nie. Ja. Okay, dan kyk gou mooi. En dan volgens die omsigtigheidsbeginsel moet bates teen konservatiewe waardes in die finansiële state getoon word. The other principle you could have used was the prudence principle, because prudence says that you show the value of assets at the conservative value. He thinks it's 10 million. Wie sê dit regtig 10 miljoen? Maybe it's just 2 million. That's, but daar staan nêrens dis gewaardeer. If I said it was valuated by a trained or recognized evaluator, then you could have said, okay, nou het miskien 'n punt. But if it hasn't been valuated, dan kan jy dit net aanvaar nie. Okay, en dan nog iets vir jy kon gesê het, there's lots of things, maar ek het nou net, jy hoef net een te geskryf het. My first go-to is historical cost principle. My second one will be prudence. Dan kan jy gesê het, wins kan net erken word en aangeteken word wanneer die grond en geboue verkoop word. When you sell this now, then the difference between the cost price and the selling price can be a profit on sale of asset. Dit kan jy mos sê. Dit kan jy gesê het. You could have said it's unethical to manipulate the amounts or values in the financial statements. En dan dis enetjie wat ek nogal nou die eendag raak gelees het. Iewers ek kan nie onthou waar nie. But the opinion of the CEO will not be accepted as proof of the value of the land and buildings. Only an official valuation done by a professional valuator. So ek kan nie sê ek dink my huis is 30 miljoen rand werd nie. Dan moet iemand kom wat opgelei is om te kan waardeer en dan kan hy vir my sê ja, jou huis is 30 miljoen rand werd. Is julle by daarmee? Are we fine? I'm done with fixed assets. Ek is nou klaar met vaste bates. Tomorrow we're going to look at bank reconciliation. We've got 2 days for bank reconciliation, 2 days for creditors reconciliation, want volgende week en Woensdag, Donderdag en Vrydag, we're going to do our project. We have 2 hours. Remember, it's a project that everybody in our district is doing. We have 2 hours. If we do it over 3 days, we actually are using more than 2 hours. Maar ek neem nou af dat die periode miskien 'n bietjie kan te kort wees of daar kan 'n probleem wees. So we're going to do it next week, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday is the project. Die laaste week voor die eksamen begin, kan ons dan hersiening doen. So we have tomorrow and Thursday for bank reconciliation. Friday and Monday for creditors reconciliation, en dan ons net Dinsdag vir debiteure. But dit is just age analysis. Dis niks moeilik daar nie. Okay, are we fine, people? Ja, ek vat ook 'n tyd om papiere uit te doen. By the way, while we are on the topic of the project, people, you can decide, you can help me decide. It's either that